This podcast contains adult language, descriptions of violence, sexual references, and other possibly offensive themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Previously, on Back to the Story.
I'm really, really glad to be home. I've missed you both so much.
Hi. Morning.
You certainly know how to make an interest, don't you? There's been some political troubles. People have been calling for another covenant meeting, trying to get things removed or reinstated. The Devil's Yard has made a change a few months ago. No longer patrolled by Covenant, patrolled by their own subset, or the Red Watch. So, Roger, now that we have you, I texted you a basic catch-up. Essentially, y'all teleported in. There was a storm that lasted the next, 3 days hard, and then another day or two of kind of lighter rain and wind after that. Cabs dropped you off where you wanted to. Some of y'all caught up with your parents and were beginning other ventures. Felix had a zone of truth, few minutes where he basically answered any questions you wanted to. And we're kind of doing this rotating kind of downtime for the next week or so. So we'll pick up with you and Ball since you haven't had a chance to do anything yet. So you kind of have a week. Give us an idea of what you've been up to.
Been working on my blog. Okay, I know. So one of the things that maybe Ball goes shopping for, I know he's bought in the past, it was these potions of fire breathing. I don't know if they're available in Embershore.
So if you just want some basic shopping, just send me that list and I'll send you what's in it. But you're able to, find a few potions.
Okay, he's still got a couple, and he's got 2 of them anyway, but maybe he just buys a couple more, and then I'll let you know what else I bought. But as long as he's able to buy them in Embershore, then he picks up a couple.
Sure. So
okay.
You're able to do that, and I'll send you the prices in a minute here.
Okay, great. And then, maybe during this storm, now that we're back in a normal plane or a normal realm, Ball kind of misses the outdoors a bit, and it's also missing Ezekiel as well. Spending some time outdoors is kind of a reminder or a way to, I guess, mourn the passing of Ezekiel. So Ball will kind of go to that place kind of outside Embershore where he would, when he was younger, he practice beating on the tree bark and then mending the wounds on the tree and just practice his combat skills then. Yeah, and I think maybe at one of the nights, because I assume you said this happened for multiple nights, right? There's this kind of storm?
Yeah, there was about 3 nights of hard storm and then a few days after that of lighter weather, drizzling.
So I think when Ball's kind of on his own doing his thing, he spends a couple nights outside, and on one of the nights he's he's got his fireplace and he's trying to keep it going in dealing with the rain, and he's just kind of reflecting on what's happened, and he's kind of taking some time to say a prayer to Aim. And essentially Ball's kind of, asking Aim where was she when Ball needed her most. He thinks back to when they were in Felnor, and around the time of the elevator, he gripped onto his holy symbol and asked Aim for some help. And, reflecting on Ezekiel no longer being here, Ball said, Ball kind of felt like Aim never answered this prayer. So he's sitting at the fireplace, kind of asking Aim where she was. And I think, I don't know if it's necessarily, if it's the weather or what it is, but maybe Ball's got a hard time keeping this fire going while he's saying this prayer. And the fire keeps kind of going in and out. And then I think, eventually Ball kind of gives up on the prayer and tries to go to sleep. And in the middle of the night, he can't really sleep. So he wakes up kind of angry, he's tired of not being heard. And then he's going to go over to, he's going to take his potions with him, and he's going to go over to the Gullah Cave where, things didn't, quite go so well the first time around. And when he gets there, I guess before he goes in, he's just going to, take a few of those potions and just a few of those fire breathing potions and just kind of chug them and take out his maul and kind of go in guns blazing or mouth blazing, belly blazing.
So Ball, we have this image of Ball as he kind of approaches those boulders that mark the entrance to this cave, chugging those potions. And as he heaves out this maul, every time you open your mouth, every time you exhale, it's just flames erupt out of you. You can't even control it. You can't even keep it in. It's just burbling inside of you as you jump in, landing. You can hear the stone cracking under your weight. It hurts, but almost numbly and distantly. Barely feel it. All you feel is kind of this burning fire, this anger. Make a wisdom check for me.
Wisdom check or saving throw?
We'll say saving throw. Yeah.
Wisdom saving throw. 23.
Okay. So you rush into the cave, storm through. The initial part of the cave is almost flooded from the rain. As you kind of stepping into the puddles, the steam kind of rolls off Ball's form as he sloshes through them. You can see what used to be the bodies are now just bones. It's been nearly 2 years since you've been down here, and you've grown even a couple inches since you were last year. You squeeze through that initial place as you hear the clattering of spears as they did before. You rush through, hitting them back, stomping them back, and for a time you're able to almost restrain yourself. You're ending them quickly. One smack of Ball's maul across their temple and it's over, nearly painless. You take on the first 5. A few minutes later, another swarm of them are kind of rushing up through the narrow tunnel to the right. Give me another wisdom save here.
I'm in 11 this time.
As these next wave begin to come through and you begin to release the flames from your mouth and your form almost ignites itself. Normally you command it and will it to come, and this time it comes on its own, beyond your full control. These you don't end so quickly. You cut their legs off from under them. They fall into the ground, stepping on one, trying to nearly drown it as you're hitting the rest of these with a burning inferno of rage. Everything seems to almost go white. And for a time, Ball forgets who he is or where he is. He's just a storm of fire. You don't know how long this goes on, Ball. But as the flames kind of begin to subside and the smoke kind of fills the top of the room and you're able to kind of look through the haze, there's burnt corpses, bodies. There's still puddles of water from the rain. You can hear the storm still going on above you. Smoke kind of billowing out, slowly rolling across the top of the cave and to exit in a chimney of black smoke. You kind of find yourself here in this solitude created by burning embers, leaving only ash and silence. There's a few smattering of materials, maybe armor, weapons, the wooden hilts, kind of piled up that are still burning. What's left, strangely keeping the wet water that's kind of flooded this cave partially at bay, steaming off, burning bright, almost draws you towards it. You kind of lumber, dragging your maw. It has dried, burnt, crisp blood. It's kind of been burnt off to a crisp on the edges of the maw, dragging it through the water as it almost pulls you magnetically towards this pile of burning armor and a few weapons that just seems to burn in front of you.
Does Ball kind of feel like he's had his way with the home of the gull out here?
Ball looks around and you see bodies, numerous. That second wave that came for you, you ended them quickly, but looking around at the bodies, you're pretty sure a few more waves came. A few minutes go by and none more come, and yet those flames continue to burn. Every time you look upon those flames, it almost seems to ignite and fuel that fury again.
I think Ball's going to feel like he kind of came here and did what he wanted to do. And as he kind of looks into this burning embers of dried blood and dead bodies, he's going to kind of reach into it, like underneath his shirt, and kind of tug on the holy symbol of Ain. And he's going to, give it a good tug, and just kind of where it snaps the clasp that's holding it together, pulls it off, and he's going to look at it. And then you're going to see, his mantle of flame will kind of ignite. His eyes will glow, and he's going to throw it into the burning embers and start to walk out. And as he does, he's going to say under his breath, "I don't need you anymore." And as he gets to when he squeezes through those cracks that, where he wasn't able to fit through quite so easily last time, and struggled again, this time being taller and larger. Once he gets to the other side of those cracks, he's going to take his maul out again and basically try to cave those cracks in, and just kind of tries to close that path.
Okay. As you throw it in, you turn and walk back, squeezing through the crack, turning back to heave the maul out the sides to collapse in that narrow passageway to this cave. You see that pile of embers on the other side of that narrow way. It seems almost roar, flaring up 3-4 feet into the air, as if pouring kerosene onto a fire. You hear cracking of stone or metal breaking as you see the fire burn white hot at first, and then slowly simmering down into a orange and then a red, and then burning like coals, like the last few remnants of a campfire. You still hear it sizzling against the water of the flooded cave around it.
I think I'll watch them.
Yes, over about 5 minutes or so, it burns white, and then a couple of minutes later burns down to red, and then down to orange, and then down to those coals. But for those first 5 minutes, it's just blazing, almost as if you've ever seen an oil field on fire. It's burning high and hot. You see the black smoke billowing up, filling the chamber beyond, the sizzling of water evaporating ahead of you. You see shifting in those flames, movement. These sounds crackling through, almost like words. It takes you a moment. You can't make it out. Words familiar in some way. That announce, speaking through the flames, burning, through the sounds of cracking wood of hilt and snapping chains. You hear in giant, "Beckon the child of cinder, take up your power and claim it for yourself. You are no child of the small, your fury." You can hear these words kind of grinding through the fire at you. As you stand on the other side of that narrow way, what does Ball do?
I think Ball's kind of surprised. And maybe in giant, Ball will say, "And who are you? Another Gullah? Feel my fire?"
Show it. The flames growl back, angry.
I think, Ball will, try to, maybe he's just gotten out of that crack, and he's gonna go back and do it. So tries to squeeze through this crack again, kind of steps up to where these flaming embers are, and just has a look around, tries to see if he sees anybody moving in the embers.
Give me a perception check.
That's a 2.
As Ball looks into these flames, his vision is almost taken up entirely by it. The bright light, the black smoke seems to envelop the rest of your sight. You just see these flames shifting, wide on the edges, deep, ruby red at its center. You see something within it. Something you can grasp.
Ball's gonna kind of clear his throat, and he's going to yell into the fire and say, "Show yourself." And as he does, I guess one of those charges of the fire breath potion is going to kind of be the period to his, or the exclamation mark to his statement.
Okay. And as you do that, the flames erupt out of Ball's mouth, slamming almost strangely into the other fire as if it was a solid entity, pushing it back, scattering it in the light. Some of the ashes fly, coals move and shift, embers kind of floating in the air in the cloud of black smoke, but the main flames disperse, gone. All that's left is a pile of ash and a few still burning embers of coal and something in the ash.
Can Ball see what's in the ash?
Something metal. Iron.
I think Ball will kind of maybe poke at it a bit with his maul. Just kind of move some of the debris out of the way.
You poke at it a bit, shifting it in the ash, and some of the coals that kind of flare up as a few embers kind of go flying into the air. You see something circular. Round. You see, shifting it, a circlet, crown, black iron. In the center, there's a ruby embedded, deep red. As you kind of shift it around, it looks like that ruby almost contains within it a simmering, burning coal, giving off its own ember light, embedded in this crown of black iron.
I think Ball will reach for it.
Reaching into the ash, but you grab the circlet, the crown of iron, warm to the touch, not warm enough to cause harm, but warm still. And as you look at it, dusting off the ash, the iron itself has almost fine swirls, as if caused by the burning flames, resembling somewhat Damascus steel in the shapes of flames as you look close. And in the center, you do see that deep ruby that's burning on the dying ember. You see it's large in your hands.
Yeah, I think, with these embers all around Ball, I think Ball's going to sit there and just kind of, or stand there and, with this circlet and ruby in his hand, just kind of, I don't know, he's going to spend some time just kind of looking at it, with flames in the background, just holding on to this fiery red ruby.
Okay. And as Ball is sort of in the Gullah cave, surrounded by slain enemies, Gullah exacting his revenge, looking over this crown of black iron and ruby as kind of the last of the flames burn down and the black smoke kind of clears away, billowing out. You see Paul continuing to kind of look this over in solitude. Coming back around, and Roger added you a little item in the inventory section. We'll come back up to Felix here, and we can kind of keep doing the individual scenes, or we can kind of come back into regular mode, kind of up to you guys, and split up, whatever you guys want to do.
I still definitely have a few individual things.
Yeah, I've got a couple scenes I still need to do.
Yeah, the only thing Felix might do is take up their suggestion on the winery, but why don't we because I have little, because it's not his home, so I don't mind taking a seat for a little bit.
Okay. So who's not, Vesper or Ellery?
I'll go. Yeah, I'm gonna follow that whole scene up with some shopping. And I'll just kind of gloss over most of this. Gonna pick up some armor, materials for a couple of small projects that I want to go over in a little bit. I am going to get in touch with Meli And I think I do not want to go to her front door because her dad doesn't like me very much. So I think at some point I'm just gonna, kind of hang out, probably in disguise, near her house, and just use message to get her attention and ask her to meet me.
Sure. Easily done. You kind of wait around for her and able to get her over. She kind of approaches.
Hey, Meli.
Yeah. Hey, good.
You know Hathel Ebenspire's shop?
Sure, yeah, I've worked there.
Would you mind picking something up for me? I don't think she wants to see my face.
She kind of squints and then a little smirk comes over. Sure, yeah.
Could you just, those, Emberstone casting focuses that she sells?
There's a couple there, yeah.
Do you think you could pick one of those up for me?
Sure. You want one, stave, crystal?
I don't know. Wand doesn't really seem my style. A staff is definitely going to be more trouble than it's worth. So probably just...
Crystal it is.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
You don't happen to know if she has any that are on chains or anything like that?
We could put one on there.
I could put one on there, probably.
Your choice. It cost a little extra to get it attached.
Yeah, let's just make it simple and do it that way.
Okay.
You are a wonder, Meli.
Just message me. So she's able to procure your Emberstone on the chain, attached to a chain, as an arcane focis. Is a Emberstone that's glowing, that's been glyphed and runed in order to act as an arcane foci. It is still warm to the touch and still gives off light as well.
Perfect. And then I am going to go over to, I think you said it was somebody at the crowbar, and get myself a little tattoo. And
sure.
What I want to get, because especially after that conversation with Felix, I'm thinking about Ezekiel a lot, and the happiest I remember seeing him was when he turned into a little fox to greet Mother Willow. So what I'd like to get is a tattoo of a little leaping fox just above my left collarbone.
Easily done. You ask around, Mockler knows some people, and one of the best people who does tattoos that's reasonable is this guy named Gordon, who hangs out in the crowbar and does some tattoos in the basement there. It's a pretty rough bar you've been to before, but this round, old, gristled halfling with this kind of salt and pepper beard, long hair that's kind of sloshed back, is able to pull you aside, put you on a crate, essentially, in some cellar of this bar, and is able to give you a pretty decent tattoo. He is covered in tattoos himself, has a few sleeves, pretty high quality ink. He's able to give that to you for, I think, 20 gold.
Perfect.
Anything else for Ellery as you're doing your thing?
I think just to get this stuff done, I think with my projects, I want to paint the shield that I picked up from one of the unbox with a pattern of blue and white waves. And I would like to make a little pair of earrings for Shurza.
Okay. I'll say the paint is pretty easy to do. You can either buy the paint and do it yourself, or buy the paint and then have the person do it. 1 extra gold to have them do it. Either way, that's pretty easily done. The earrings, I'll have you make a jeweler check. Probably using your dexterity here.
Okay. That's a dirty 20.
Okay. Yeah, over the next couple, you take some hours out of one of these days, take the metal that you purchase, work it into shape, create a little set piece to hold the ruby. You take the rubies you purchase and place them in, hooking them in, creating the clasp. After the end of those couple hours, you have two pretty fine-looking earring sets, depending on how much you spent on the ruby size, as I messaged you. But yeah, at the end of those few hours, you have some pretty nice earrings for sure.
All right. So I will go ahead and give those to her some evening. And I don't want to make a big show of it, but I definitely want to make sure that Mogther is there and sees them and knows that they're my work, because I want him to see a little bit of what I've learned.
Sure. So as you give them over, she's incredibly thankful and hugs you and takes them, immediately puts them on. Mogther, who's watching, is kind of, you see a look on him of a bit surprised, unexpected that you were able to do such, but impressed. And then after, as Ellery's kind of getting some of her shopping done, has this nice new shield painted with these waves of blue and white, Vesper.
Oh boy, I've got a couple conversations I have to have with some people while I'm here.
So kind of take them as we go, and we'll kind of rotate as we go. What's up?
So the first one I want to go see Dia. I guess this is also kind of tied to my shopping, because she's a blacksmith and I need some weapons. I just kind of want to replace some of what I lost. So just kind of talk to her, catch up with her, and see how she's been doing. Give her, a Reader's Digest version of everything that happened to us. A little less detailed than what I told my dad's.
Sure, yeah. And you find her at the Rothburn Rook as she's kind of working on some things as you fill her in.
And then as we're kind of chatting, and I ask about, can I get some more of those daggers and maybe a rapier or something? Eventually I'm going to kind of go quiet. And I have not been wanting to talk to her about this. I've kind of been dreading the answer. But I'll just let her work for a bit and then go, Auntie Dia, actually, I had a question I wanted to ask you.
Yes.
Do you know a man named Sarnelis?
She kind of hesitates between what she's doing for a moment, kind of holding tongs of the heated metal for a moment before continuing with what she was doing. Yes, I'm aware of Sarnelis. Beneath this rock, in fact.
Do you know what he does? I heard some tell that if I was looking to learn more about anatomy, I should talk to him.
She kind of places the hot metal to the side of the furnace and kind of faces you head on. I'm aware of what he does, Vesper, but I would advise staying away from him. He's this city's executioner, and he is accomplished with what he does, but he doesn't do it cleanly.
I think when she faces me, Vesper's not very good at hiding her emotions. I think I look betrayed and hurt.
I don't like him either.
You don't argue, though, about what he does down there.
We can't.
Why not?
His position is unique.
That's one way of putting it.
Tied up in our history. He has bid himself through covenant to be this city's sole executioner. If any are put to death, he has made it so it is always by his hand. He has also made it to where he can take as much time as he wills.
You know what he does with what's left over, right?
I'm aware.
I think I'm gonna go talk to Donovan about getting my daggers. I'll see you later.
Okay.
I will.
Vesper walks off, leaving Dia to kind of watch you as we see Vesper kind of walking out over the shoulder, Dia looking on.
While I'm here in the Rook, though, do I see Roderick anywhere?
Not immediately, but you can go find him.
I would like to find him, please.
Okay. On the way out, you kind of enter in to the Rook itself to be able to search for him. Eventually, you're able to find him. He's kind of comes out of an office to kind of meet you in a kind of lobby foyer entrance area.
Hi.
That's surprising, but hey.
Been a while since we've seen one another.
It's been a while, yes. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Is there something I can help you with, Vesper?
Well, I was leaving now, but are you busy? Maybe tomorrow night?
Why?
I don't know. If you had plans for dinner or something, maybe?
I hadn't planned. He kind of like, you realize he realizes what's going on about halfway through the sentence. I don't believe I have any business tomorrow evening.
Would you like to have business tomorrow evening?
I'd like that very much. Where?
Do I know anywhere that's both affordable but not shitty?
Yeah, there's a public house in the Kincross district that sort of surrounds Warm Garden, which is the sort of fancy, wealthy people district. It's sort of the middle class area, and it serves pretty decent food, but it isn't crazy expensive.
I will suggest there then.
I'll meet you there just after sundown.
Sounds perfect.
Kind of smiles as a coven has walked up behind him and is kind of waiting for the conversation to end to tell him something.
I'll wave and let him get back to it.
He waves as well before turning to the Covenant, kind of speaking in hushed tones to them, immediately walking off.
I'll talk to him later then, unless we want to do that now.
Is Felix or Ball up as we kind of go through this rotation? Anything come to mind?
Ball's got one more thing he wants to do, but it doesn't have to be now. I can do it a bit later.
We can do it now just to break up the scenes.
Yeah, it involves Felix. I don't know, is Felix around?
By this point, as part of my thing earlier where I divulged my history as truthfully as possible, you all got a pouch that are interconnected. As a side effect, you can also reach me telepathically from anywhere within 100 miles. But I'm staying at a nice inn in the fancy district.
Okay, if I can reach you telepathically, so maybe this conversation happens telepathically instead. So maybe it's, Ball's still out in the woods doing ballsy, woodsy things. And one of the nights when he's kind of at his campfire, with this newfound circlet or crown, and he's kind of holding it in his hands, and then it looks like Ball's contemplating something. At some point, Ball's placed this crown on his head, and while it's on his head, he's kind of holding this pouch in his hands, and he calls out to Felix, and he says, "Felix, are you still awake?"
I don't exactly sleep, so yes.
I was thinking about when you said you were asking around about us bronze scales. Did you ask around about me?
Quite a bit. You, as a giant, were rather intriguing to most of the townsfolk. They were used to your presence, but also a little unnerved by it, though most of them said you were innocent and sweet.
Did you talk to anyone else about me? Maybe if I'm not around here. I know that you spoke to friends and family of the others. Do you know anything about my family?
I know that you were found, was it? But unfortunately, I could not exactly follow that trail. There wasn't much time. I've studied most of the peoples on this plane, however, and perhaps I could provide you with some information about them, even if not specifically your family.
Maybe at this time, Felix doesn't see it, but from where Ball is when he's sitting at the campfire, he's with one hand just kind of running the hand around this new crown of his, and when he's running it around the ruby in the center, he pauses with his finger on it, and to Felix he says, "What can you tell me about giants? Fire giants?"
Should I make a history check?
We'll say yeah. Yeah. You'll know some basic details, but this will see how much you know.
I rolled a natural 20, so that's 34.
Holy shit.
That's not going to cut it.
You know they're big boys. And that's it. No,
yeah, he said roll 1d20, not 2d20.
So you know the basics. The giants were some of the early people who ruled Northill after the gods kind of left, licking their wounds after battling Northill, the super titan. They had enormous nations and kingdoms and were as far spread as the humans are now, as peoples are now. They were united in part and led by Tyrus, the giant, who became a god for a time before being felled by the giants during the historical Song of Scale and Stone, Scale being dragonstone, being giants. Fire giants in particular typically now make their homes in areas near fire, volcanoes, lava flows, sometimes underground, sometimes in the elemental plane of fire. They are known as incredible craftsmen. Specifically, they are most usually known for making incredible feats of weapon and armor, superheated by lava flows and volcanoes and extreme heat sources. With a natural 20, I'd say you're also aware that some of them have been known to use flames of dragons, with a particular disdain towards giants specifically, or disdain towards dragons, specifically red dragons. And you've heard of one giant in particular who was able to capture a red dragon and uses it to superheat the metal in order to craft some of these weapons. You learn that from researching the name in your prophecy, one of the giant names. I believe Fur of Cinderrock was the one you learned about. He once spent time on the material plane in a volcano in Tynear, which is north of Severwind. Sort of, Tynear is Canada if Severwind is North America. Before leaving and going into the elemental plane of fire, doing business, last you've heard, with some of the Ifrit. And I'll maybe message you some more, but that's what you get for now.
And then Felix tells Ball, never heard of them.
No, he'll share his knowledge freely. I don't know if that answers any questions. I know it's rather a clinical observation of them.
I'd like to know where I came from.
Well, perhaps I can help you look into it. If this volcano to the north was once a home to your people, there's got to be at least a ruin.
I would like that. Thank you.
Can I go to bed now?
Yeah, Ball's just like sitting there with holding the bag in his lap, still thinking. Yeah, so you kind of, I guess, there's that awkward silence, and Ball kind of is like, oh, yes, sorry. And starts to, I don't know, can you telepathically hear him move his pouch into, like, away?
No, it's not so much, like, you have to consciously want to communicate with me, so it's more just like, when you stop, it's over. I don't get to keep hearing your thoughts.
Right, okay, so you don't hear Ball go, rustle, 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 as he tucks away the pouch and says, good night, Felix.
Sure, Ball.
Well, he says that before he puts the pouch away, yeah. Yeah, and then I think it's just a Ball looking into the fire, kind of trying to envision what he thinks those ruins to the north might look like. And that'll be the end of his kind of what Ball wants to do.
Okay, so as Ball kind of stares off into the flames and embers, we pass off that vision and come back to... Who's next? I forgot. Are we back up to Ellery?
I think it's up to me again.
Okay.
So, similar theme, different approach. I would like to go visit any jewelers in the city. How many jewelers are there in the city, actually?
Probably very few. You'd know one with the Nexus Exchange, high quality. There's maybe one other that's kind of a pawn shop that also has some jewelry.
I'd probably have to go to the Nexus Exchange one.
Probably.
So, I think I am going to disguise myself for this one. And this time I am going to make myself look like Daphne.
Oh, boy, okay. Shift into the beautiful tanned form of Daphne.
Except
the Amber Witch.
Wearing more clothes.
Except wearing more clothes, okay.
And I'm going to keep my bracelet visible. Actually, I'm probably going to take it off for this, so that I can show it to the jeweler there. And I'd like to ask them if they've ever seen any similar pieces.
And you're showing her the
replica
refabrication, the replica
of my original casting focus.
Sure. So you go in a place called the Crystal Cake, which is one of the exchanges, one of the Nexus-owned shops in the exchange of the Market District. Going in there, you see a gentleman, tall, very thin, almost looks like he's wearing stilts, kind of lean down over the counter as you kind of show it to him, inspecting it, pulling out this tiny glass, kind of dialing it and turning it, revolving it. He pulls up some light to be able to look at the details of the piece. Well, I've seen pieces similar, not exactly in this style, but are you looking to procure something along these lines? I do have quite a selection.
I'm more trying to determine the origin of this piece. Or, well, it's a replica, not the original, but I'm trying to figure out where it might have come from.
An old style, not quite elven, so obviously not dwarven. I'd guess not from Severwind entirely, none style that I'm aware of, at least. This could be... looks ceremonial, though I don't see any religious significance, any markings of gods, or deities of any sort, though I would guess a ritualistic of some sort. I apologize, it doesn't appear to be in any style I'm familiar with in particular. These symbols here, do you know what they say?
Do I?
You tried to replicate them as much as you can, and from previous investigations into the subject, they seem to be celestial in nature, but not quite celestial.
Oh.
Sort of a ye old celestial.
Huh. Well, I tell him that. I believe they're related to celestial.
No. I'm unaware of a style exactly like this, though I've seen similar pieces before, using different stones and metals, of course, and different runes. I would follow up with a temple of sorts. They might have some idea there. There are some historians in Dramenvolk that might know more.
I know a historian of sorts who might be able to help me with that.
Of course. If you're looking to make another replica, I could certainly make a custom piece for you. Arrange a payment plan if you desire. And he kind of looks you up and down, then side glances his eyes, trying to avoid the illustrious beauty of Daphne.
Not at this time, but I will certainly keep you in mind for the future.
Of course, yes. He kind of gives a gracious bow.
And then, as soon as I leave, I am immediately going to contact Felix.
Pattern here.
Uh-huh. He knows things. And I suppose I would contact him through the bag. That's such a weird thing to say. but I would want to arrange to meet with him in person.
Sure, I'm not in the middle of anything. Not at all. I don't have my own things to do. Right, are we going back to your wonderful establishment?
You know what? I'll just be nice and come to you. So I'm going to go to where he's staying, and I don't think that I'll remember right away to drop the disguise, so I'm going to show up looking like Daphne.
And you are? Who coming into my room very scantily clad?
No, I made sure to be wearing more clothes than she actually wore.
Right. Well, still,
I dropped the disguise.
Right. Well, that is certainly a choice. Okay.
Someone we met before we met you.
I really don't care. Show me what you need me to take a look at.
So I show him the bracelet. So I've never been able to figure out what these markings say. Now, they're my best memory of a piece that I no longer have. So I'm not sure exactly how accurate the writing is on here, but I was hoping you could be able to figure it out.
I'll attempt, and I'll cast Comprehend Languages on myself and see if that helps at all.
They're less of words and more just symbols similar to arcane glyphs used to enchant.
It doesn't exactly say anything. Do I know anything about its origin?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Oh, sorry, that was a God question.
Oh.
Repeat the question.
Do I know anything about its origin? Where it might come from? With my archaeologist background, I know the value of any art piece that's over 100 years old.
Okay, I'll say roll a history check.
Okay. Weirdo.
Or archaeology check, I guess.
Is that plus intelligence then? It's like a 20 plus proficiency, so that'd be 24.
Okay. These do indeed look ceremonial. Based off the runes, you would guess the original version would be enchanted in some way. The runes are celestial in nature, though not with any current form that you're aware of. This is a sort of alternate dialect, so to speak. Art piece. You haven't seen any piece particularly like this in any of your research. And you've researched quite a lot. That's about all you get.
Okay. My professional opinion, it is either more ancient than history or it is from another plane.
Huh. Have you heard of a language that, I don't know if I understood this correctly, it might be called Ale?
It's not immediately ringing any bells. I don't think.
Not immediately, no.
That angel that I told you about, she was apparently speaking some strange version of Celestial, a different dialect. And what little I was able to find by doing research, there was a note about the runes on her armor, something about written ale, A-E-L, and I wonder if that's the name of this dialect.
Perhaps. Dialects arise rather frequently, especially at that time. I can't imagine writing was terribly common. My best guess, it's probably pre-sealing of the Divine Gate. Most of our history of the world before was lost. It's very likely that they would use slightly different versions of the languages we speak now.
I suppose that makes sense. But it doesn't really get me any closer to figuring out where I come from.
Well,
this bracelet, by the way, well, the original was found with me. I mean, you know I'm adopted, right? I don't exactly look like a half-orc.
I put that complicated equation together, yes.
Thought you might.
There are a lot of peoples in this world, a lot of strange things. It could be an inherited heirloom, something your family found, maybe even something they wanted to protect alongside you. It's difficult to say. Without the actual relic in hand, I can't exactly understand its magical properties. I assume it had them. What happened to it?
I gave it up to not long before our little group left for Nymanet. There was an incident where Vesper and Ball both died. And obviously we got them back, but the ritual for that, I gave up my bracelet in order to get Ball back.
An admirable trade.
I certainly thought it was worth it.
And who is in possession of it now?
Well, it kind of disappeared, but I guess if anyone has it, if it still exists in some form, then Voltimeri does.
Ah, it was the component itself. I understand. Well, I have a feeling that Ball is more necessary than this bracelet will ever be.
Yeah,
And
I figured that the life of somebody that I care about mattered a lot more than a reminder of the people who threw me away.
oh, right, feelings. I was just talking about his usefulness if you never figured out the magical properties. Anyway, that's lovely. I apologize that I can't help you further on this, but I can add it to the list to delve into Aeon. Perhaps he knows something.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, I could almost consider liking you.
I don't think you'll feel that long.
Well, I don't most of the time, but you know.
Are we done?
Yes, I will let you get back to what you were doing.
Seeing as we're nearing the end of our time, we're going to have to pull in a hook here. So at some point during the week, you guys are gathered in the copper sale, we'll say, some of you. And you begin hearing about one of the bartenders, Mockler, complaining that he's been missing for a few days. Asked around and hasn't been able to find him. Following up, you kind of find out that there's been a few resurgence or increase in missing people in Embershore. Not a whole lot. There's a person here or there that's coincided with an increase in intensely strong narcotic agents that are against the covenants or illegal, essentially. There's been some overdoses found in alleyways and just other missing people that seems to be associated with it.
Well, I would definitely want to talk to Mogther about that as soon as I hear about it. And maybe just pull him over to our table wherever it is that we're sitting.
Hmm.
So what's been going on?
Well, a few people have been missing here and there. He's always had a bit of an issue with it. Kept it out of the copper sale for legal purposes, you understand?
Naturally.
Yes. He's been missing though for a few days. Haven't been able to find him. We were short-staffed. Brat's been filling in though, but I'm not sure he started hanging out with Ziggy again.
Oh, of course.
Yes. He hasn't been hanging around much, but I've seen him, Ziggy that is, on the streets at night. Again. I think he was in prison for a while. He's working with someone else. Voyage won't say who, but the feeling he knows.
And how has Voyage been lately?
Busy. Lots changed in those almost 2 years. He's grown up, perhaps. You know him better than I at this point. He doesn't do as much business here as he once did. Maybe you can ask him. See if he knows where Colt went. And you remember Colt. He was there few years ago, the sort of human, hipsterish guy, man bun, usually strong, drank a lot, probably did some illegal substances on the side, but more overall nice fellow. Worked for Mockler for a long time, trustworthy. Helped him out when Mockler needed aid.
And someone Ellery definitely thought was cute, but didn't go for because that would be a little awkward.
Yeah, cute in kind of like a dirty way, but yeah, dirty hipster way. But maybe you can ask Voyage. He might be more receptive to you.
I have been meaning to have a word with him. Catch up on how things have been going here.
Bring your friends. He's, I like to stay neutral in business, but I have a feeling he's working with some different parties these days.
That, honestly wouldn't surprise me. Actually, maybe this would be better discussed somewhere a little bit more private. So I'd like to... Well, I don't know where we are right now, but I would like to make sure that we're somewhere that we can't be overheard.
So I presumed y'all are basically all at the table. Vesper Ball, everyone is kind of at y'all's usual table at the copper sale. But y'all can certainly transfer into the meeting room in that room, or in the bar if you'd like.
Yeah, I would definitely like to do that.
Okay. So you'll shift in there. With Ball, it's a bit of a squeeze. It's not a huge room, but you're able to all get in there, close the door, shut the shutters that kind of intrude into the bar itself.
So, either you knew or you could probably guess that before we left, Voyage had a little job that he wanted me to do for him?
I've heard some rumors, yes.
Well, I didn't really like the details of that job that I discovered after accepting it. And I wasn't exactly sure how to approach this, but I was going to ask that you no longer do business with him.
I already do. I don't do as much business with him as I used to. Used to meet here quite frequently, and as is my policy, I don't ask much questions. Every now and then, and though it's been a few months, ask for some information or contact or some talent, and I'll point someone his way, but he's distanced himself from this area.
Did you know that he's involved in the slave trade?
I'm aware. He has some connections to it. They all do in the Devil's Yard, in one way or the other.
Well, he tried to get me involved in it as well. And I'm not terribly happy with him for that.
Perhaps you're right. We should both maybe refuse his business for the time being, though he likely would be the best source of information defining Colt.
You don't have to do business with him to get information.
Correct.
I'm sure for all there are ways.
I may know of a few.
I've heard. And he kind of glances to make sure that the shutters into the bar are closed. That little hatch to order drinks directly to the bar is closed. I've heard that he's been hanging around the winery a bit more. Some people have seen him coming and going. He's become more of a public figure for the Devil's Yard, more than he was before.
I glance at Vesper as soon as Mogler mentions the winery.
I grimace.
What is that face? Isn't that where you told me to go?
I was being a bitch. The winery's got a history. There's something shady going on underneath. There's a large presence of aberration underneath. I don't know if it's one big thing or a lot of small things, but there's a lot.
And now presumably connected with slavers. Great.
Yeah.
Wonderful little town you have here.
If you do seek Voyage out, I would recommend seeing if you could meet at a neutral place. I'd even host the meeting here. If he would agree to it, I wouldn't advise you moving into the Devil's Yard. Not now. Things have changed. Covenant no longer have control over it as they used to. And you know me, I'm no friend of theirs, but I'm not their enemy either. Not directly, at least.
It seems to me they didn't have a whole lot of control over it before, either.
Never much. They didn't patrol it heavily, but they did patrol it. There's barricades now. There's tension on the border of that district. No outward violence yet that I've heard of, but tension.
Well, I think you're right that a meeting somewhere more neutral would be good. And at this point, as unhappy as I am with Voyage, I think it would be best to at least start things off civilly.
I agree. My old contacts to him aren't maybe as reliable as they used to be. I'm not sure if you have ways, or maybe Meli can help, or otherwise I can ask around.
I think we can come up with something. And if I do have reason to go into the Devil's Yard, I will cast Disguise Self again, and this time make myself look like, still with similar features, but as a tiefling instead of as a half-elf. I've learned a few tricks.
I'm impressed. In any case, I'll ask around if what you do doesn't suffice. Whatever you decide to do, be cautious. I'll leave you to discuss. I probably need to get back to the bar.
Thank you for letting us know. We'll see what we can do.
Right. Kind of leaves the room, leaves you guys in that small meeting room to go back to tending the bar, taking in orders, etc.
Well, okay.
Can I just say, well, fuck.
Yes. Shit, okay.
Look, maybe the best way to approach this is just to ask if he and I can meet up to catch up, since it has been nearly 2 years since I've seen him.
Mm-hmm. And the rest of us wait with you at the meeting place?
Yeah.
I think most of us can... You don't have another potion of invisibility, do you?
No, that was the last... That was the only one.
I can see if my dad's got one, and...
Well, Amson can make a few of you invisible anyway.
Right.
If you can get him to meet you here, I can sit on the other side of the wall and read his mind.
Excuse me, what?
I'm sorry.
Yes, it's one of my particular tricks given by Aeon. I can, as long as I don't press too deep, relatively easily graze surface thoughts. If you question him about more mundane things, I may learn what is actually on his mind.
That is both terrifying and incredibly useful.
I look at him, I give him a very hard stare. Hey, Vesper.
Uh-huh.
You want to use that truth thingy so we can find out if he's been reading our minds?
I can.
I have not as of yet. Honestly, I'm not that interested. Admittedly, I may have a few of your family members, and he will kind of look out the door where Mogther would be. May have pried a little in my research, but it is an effective means of getting to the bottom of things.
When he looks towards Mogther, I'm gonna kind of get up in his face a little bit and say, well, I certainly hope that you're capable of discretion in that case.
Absolutely.
Good. So, we get Voyage here. I have a few polite questions of my own to ask him. What does it take for you to use this ability of yours?
It's a simple spell. I can only detect thoughts out to a 30-foot range, but it can penetrate most things. Stone and metal is a little bit hard, but it looks like these walls are mostly wood, as long as I get close. Surface thoughts I can read without them any wiser, and it should be unable to resist. If I need to probe deeper, they will know whether or not it succeeds.
All right, so I'll need to steer the conversation towards topics that would get him thinking about these things.
Correct. And since as long as you have my pouch on you, I can communicate to you what he's really thinking.
You can also make suggestions for anything that I don't think of.
Yes. I imagine there will be several.
Knowing you, probably.
Ellery, we should probably have a code word if something goes wrong, if you want us to appear and start intimidating him. Basically, if we should make ourselves known, you should have something you can say.
Again, she can literally speak to my mind directly.
Well, okay. But the rest of us are going to be in the room invisible.
Oh, well, then, yes. A more immediate, not waiting for me.
Right.
I see your point. You're not worried about him possibly seeing any of these magically invisible people in the room with her? If he has grown as powerful and influential as you seem to think.
Well, if he has, you'll be watching the door, won't you?
That
and I
will.
smile at him.
The last time that I spoke to him, he had a bodyguard with him, which was kind of a new thing at the time. I imagine if he's gained importance, he may have more protection on hand. So, we will try and want to keep things peaceful, if at all possible. At least until we have a better idea of what we're dealing with.
So when do you want to do this?
Soon.
Today?
What time of day is it?
We'll say it's early morning. 11-ish.
Yeah, today's probably best. If we can get him to agree to meet that quickly.
Set up a lunch date.
All right. Vesper, you've met Voyage before, haven't you? Or you've at least seen him, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Do you think you could send him a message on my behalf?
I would be happy to.
All right. Well, if you could let him know that I'm back in town and that I would love to catch up with him.
Absolutely.
And that I'll be hanging out at the Copper Sale.
Sure. Anything else? Some counting words.
That should be enough for now.
All right. I will cast the spell. And basically parrot that. Ellery is back in town. She'd like to meet with you for lunch. She'll be hanging around the Copper Sale.
Hello, Vesper. I'm glad you've all returned in one piece. I do have prior arrangements today, but this afternoon, perhaps. Hasseck's Corner Club.
I'll repeat this.
Do I recognize the place that he mentioned?
Not initially, no.
Perhaps you could respond that I'm not familiar with the place and that maybe he should come here for old time's sake?
Yeah, I've got 3 third-level spells, so I'll send that back again. Oh, come on, for old time's sake. Yeah, everything she needs to say, she's not familiar, etc.
I apologize. I'm going to be indisposed from that side of town, but meet me at Hasseck's. 3 hours after noon. I'll be there. Ask for the corner room.
I sigh and repeat back.
Ah, shit. So I think I will go and ask Mogther if he knows this place.
Yes, it's in Kinross, the Kincross district. Small place, quiet. I think just a few people get some coffee there, not much there. Opened up about a year ago.
Do you know who runs the place?
Some fellow named Hasseck. Haven't met him myself. If I had to guess, decent money, probably connected to the families, but probably not directly. Always some side business. If voyage is involved, it might be more than it seems.
That would be my guess.
That area is more heavily patrolled by Covenant than other areas, though. It should be fairly safe. I would use caution, though.
Definitely. Well, it's not in the Devil's Yard, so there's that. But if it's connected to the families, I wonder if it's connected to the winery.
Well, we'll figure it out. Perhaps I can go scout ahead. I'm unsure yet if they would connect me with you. I'm an unknown party, and I can figure out if there is a wall I can peer through close to this corner room.
Yes, certainly better if you arrive there before I do, in any case.
So, how are the rest of us coming with you?
Well, there are a couple ways we could approach this. We could have you arrive under Amson's invisibility, or we could all just show up together and pass it off as, oh yeah, I have plans with you after my plans with him.
Sure. And we wanted to try out the new coffee shop after we heard about it.
Mm-hmm. I think that should work.
I think we should walk in. Better to be visible from the get-go and not get caught sneaking around.
Yeah, and they know that he knows that I'm with you all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Joe's plan is to go there, walk in pretty straightforwardly, check it out. So it's about 11:30. He said to me basically around 3 in the afternoon. So you guys are y'all scoping it up now? Or are y'all scoping it closer to 3?
I feel like at least one of us should go now. Maybe Felix to scope out the layout.
Yeah. I'm sorry if you don't know this. About how far into the work week is this?
We'll say it's at the end. Essentially, we're kind of picking back up. We might do some flashbacks for some things, but
that's
essentially
fine.
At the end.
Great. So I've got everything that I need. Yeah, I'll go. I don't want to go right away because I don't want to be sitting there for like 5 hours. But probably maybe around 2, I'll get in and like have a book and clearly there to take my time.
Okay. You head in that direction, heading into the Kincross district, which is sort of the middle upper class. You see lots of fine homes, not quite manors, clearly kind of middle upper class merchants and such traders. And you eventually find this pretty simple, what looks like a house. It doesn't look like an inn at all. There's no sign or anything. It just looks like someone's home. A pretty fine home, not a manor, but a fine home. Opening the door, though, it does seem like there's a bar to one side, a staircase that goes up to it looks like a converted family home that's been turned into a bar. The living room is now sort of a bar. There's a few people kind of sitting up at it, drinking coffee, it looks like, as you enter. Behind the counter, there's an older man, maybe in his 50s, kind of short, stocky, simple clothes, old vest, nothing fancy. Unshaven, and has kind of wild hair. It kind of comes back, but has this old top hat. Clearly seen some better days, some frayed edges, but otherwise fairly fine. They kind of greets you as you enter. Hey, welcome to the Corner Club. What can I get you?
Strongest coffee that you have and a quiet corner to sit in.
Sure thing. You looking for a corner room?
Sure.
All right. Pours some steaming water into a filter filled with dark, crushed grounds, basically. Filters into a mug below, which he hands to you. That will be 2 silver and the room 5 gold for an hour, if that would suffice.
That's fine. Thank you. And as we get closer, how many of these corner rooms are there, and how are they laid out?
Yeah, so he guides you up the stairs, and it looks like there's a few private rooms. It looks like there's 4 what used to be bedrooms, probably, have been converted into these private rooms. There's 4 basically in the 4 corners of the house, with this staircase kind of coming up into the center. The furthest from wall to wall is maybe 60 feet. So it's sort of 2 in the front of the house and 2 towards the back. He guides you towards the left back one. Unlocks the door, kind of enters in, showing you this place. There's a nice desk, cushioned chairs, a couch, curtains on the windows, currently closed.
Okay, and what is the house made out of?
Mostly wood. The base has some stone, but mostly wood.
All right. I will say to the others the general layout, what I found inside, and mention that it may be tricky, but I should still be able to do what I need to do. Are we on the top floor of this?
Seems to be, yeah.
Okay.
There may be an attic, but seems to be the top floor.
Okay. I'll just open a book and wait.
And as he exits, and he points to this rope that's kind of hanging from the wall, just pull this and give a ring if you need anything.
Yeah, I'll pay up for 2 hours in advance. I don't want to be disturbed.
Wonderful. Thank you for your patronage. And he closes the door behind you. So you're able to describe to the rest of them what the layout looks like as the kind of time is going by. I presume the rest of you have moved nearby enough. I'm not sure. But as 3 is kind of ticking down, what's your guys' plan?
Well, we're just going to walk in. I did want to talk to Ellery a little bit aside. Is this the same day I talked to Dia? I know we're kind of playing fast and loose with the timeline, but...
we'll say you talked to her that morning,
okay,
essentially.
Good. So, yeah, I'll pull Ellery aside at some point while we're waiting for a couple hours. Hey, I had a chance to talk to Dia Ro.
Oh, and how did that go?
It went. She knows.
She knows because you told her?
She knows because apparently it's common knowledge in the Covenant, it sounds like.
Well, fuck.
Yeah. I'm sure my other friend knows, but I want to make sure I asked him out to dinner tomorrow night.
You asked him out to dinner?
I asked him out to dinner. And I heavily implied that it wasn't just a friendly meeting, so at least I hope I did. I don't really know how to do any of that.
Well.
So we'll see, and maybe I'll get lucky and he doesn't know, and
yeah, maybe you'll get lucky.
Okay. We should okay, I just want to let you know, serious note that, yeah, Dia knows. So that's out there.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Did she make excuses for it? Did she condemn it? What?
I mean, she didn't seem pleased about it, but she said that there was nothing that the Covenant can do, which I think is bullshit. Apparently, he's tied up with their history. She kind of skirted around the issue, but basically insisted that he's taken great pains to get to where he is now, and to be able to do what he's doing.
He once told me that he had been here since before the city itself, if I'm remembering correctly.
That wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, it did sound like he has a hold here. I don't imagine anything terrible would happen if we just, killed him.
That might be easier said than done. Maybe we should focus on one thing at a time.
Yeah, definitely. Just figured. You'd want to know.
Yeah. And I'll just give her hand a squeeze.
And at this point, it's getting close to 3. It's probably 2:35, going on 2:40 here.
Just really quickly, do we want everyone there, or like, did Ball just hang out outside because he's big and imposing, that kind of thing?
I'll say Meli's working to make that easy. She's working. She's available if you need her, but she's going to be working, essentially.
Well, I think the idea is that, everybody in Embershore is basically familiar with the fact that Ball exists. And I take it that at this point we're kind of known to all hang out together.
Yeah.
So
let's go in and get some coffee.
Any other city, I'd say maybe he should stick around outside, but here, I think it makes just as much sense for him to go on in with everybody else.
Okay, then yeah, we'll oblige.
Okay, so you guys enter into a similar scene that Felix saw earlier. Converted house. The first thing you see upon entering is a staircase that goes up, sort of banisters overlooking this staircase, and then the initial foyer. To the right is where the den once was, the living room, converted into a coffee bar. Looks like there's one person sitting up at the bar, just kind of stirring their coffee. This older man, short and stocky, kind of comes up. What, would you like some coffee? Bite to eat, perhaps. Welcome to the Corner Club.
Sure, what do you have on the menu?
Coffee and toast.
This cafe sucks.
It's a totally legitimate business.
And toast.
Is the coffee any better than the tea at that one place in Nyminute?
It smells great, actually. The coffee, it smells really good.
Oh yeah, I'll have a coffee.
You take it here, or do you want a corner room? As he begins pouring the coffee.
Said Ellery.
Well, I think the rest of my friends will probably sit down here for now. I'm supposed to be meeting a friend in one of these corner rooms.
Corner room it is. 5 gold for the hour.
Ah, of course.
Here's a coffee, dear, this way. He kind of guides whoever wants to come up the stairs, into the back right booth, or room. It looks like it's a converted bedroom. Inside you see a kind of a table, a few cushioned chairs pulled up, couch off to the side, curtains currently closed on the windows.
And how close is that to my room? They're in which corner am I in?
So you're in the back left, and they're in the back right. So the furthest away you can be is 60 feet. Close is on the other side of the wall, essentially. Looks like There's a closet that's been opened up to hold some cups and such.
As far as I'm aware, they're sharing a wall with me.
Essentially, yeah. That seems to be the layout.
Great.
A question about the bag. How large is it?
The bag?
Mm-hmm.
It is a pouch.
Oh.
The pouch, okay.
Yeah. Yes. So it can't hold a whole lot. It doesn't give me a very specific thing. It holds as much as a pouch will allow. Let me look if pouches have a specific.
My main question is just not how much it holds, but for where I would actually be having it. So I guess I would have it on my belt.
Yeah, as long as it's in your possession.
I don't have to be touching it or anything?
No,
okay.
You can slip it into somebody's bag and I can talk to them.
Okay. So I will just think at Felix here and tell him which room I'm in. The back right, I believe?
Yeah.
I'm just beside you. I should be in range if I hug the wall.
All right.
And just to clarify, is it just Ellery up there, or did Vesper and Ball and Amson go too, or?
I think Ellery implied we were staying downstairs, so no.
Yeah, so just Ellery going up to the room, the others sticking around downstairs.
But I'll touch my pouch and just say, Felix, just let us know if something goes wrong.
Will do.
Thank you, dear.
Ugh.
So you guys wait in your respective places in your individual rooms, as well as downstairs having some good coffee. You notice someone next to you, or one other person at the bar is eating some toast with looks like chocolate sprinkles on it. Looks pretty good. Smells good. Ellery, after a few minutes go by, you don't have a clock, so you don't know exactly what time it is, but probably around 3-ish. There's a knock at the door.
I'll go ahead and get up and open it.
You open it till you see that old man, short and stocky fellow, wild hair. Your presence has been requested. I'm in another room. If you would please follow me.
Of course.
And he guides you down and back towards the front, to the front left room.
And
knocks on the door. Go ahead.
I think at Felix moving to a different room, front left.
Fine.
He knocks on the door. You hear a knock inside upon wood, and the old gentleman opens up the door and gestures you in, Ellery. He closes the door behind you, and inside you see similar setup, desk, couch, few chairs, and the curtains closed on the windows. And sitting at the table, you see a tiefling, blue skin, but his hair is shorter than it once was. Voyage once had longer hair. He grew it out. Has been cut short, trimmed. He's grown out a beard, dark hair, and across his face, across kind of above his left eyebrow, across the bridge of his nose, and then across his cheek and across his lip, diagonal 3 claw marks, it seems, scars. Somewhat faded, not recent, but it's there. Sitting behind the desk. He has some coffee. He's kind of stirring, pouring in some cream into it, stirring it up. Good to see you, Ellery. Have a seat, please.
It's good to see you too. Looks like you have some interesting stories to tell.
I've been busy, yes. I imagine you have as well. I heard good news about our arrangement. What did I agree to? 50 gold pieces on the return?
Yes, I believe that was our agreement.
Well, I am a man of my word. And he pulls out a pouch, pulls out 50 gold, stacks it up, and slides it to the center of the desk.
As this is happening, Felix is going to poke his head out of his room. Is anybody up on the second floor in the hallway?
No.
So I'm just going to, creep over to the other door in the front and put my ear against to see if I hear anything.
Okay. Give me a stealth check here.
That is with disadvantage because of my half plate.
Oh no.
6.
Oh boy, let me roll I actually statted Voyage out, if you can believe it.
And to be clear, I'm trying to not at their door, the door on the other room, the one that would share a wall with them.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see.
I'm trying to see if there's anybody in there that I can hear.
Sure. Go ahead and make a perception check.
Natural 20, so 24?
You don't hear anything.
All right, I'm just going to go in.
Locked.
I cast gaseous form and I go under the door.
Shifting into gaseous form, slipping under the crack, entering into a room with essentially the same setup. Empty, though.
I will just come out of gas form and cast Detect Thoughts. And just press myself against the wall.
I think, remind me, but that essentially you get surface level thoughts and you can decide to probe deeper if you choose.
Yes. So anything on the surface level I should be able to hear, and they only get a save if I probe deeper.
Sure. Okay. So we'll flash back and I'll try to remember to give you extra info as the conversation goes. So we're coming back. Ellery, you're sitting across. He's just slid the gold over to you.
Yeah, so it went relatively smoothly, though it would have helped if you'd given me just a little bit more info on what the job actually entailed.
I apologize. It was a need-to-know basis. Felix, you get assassination attempts are beyond your station.
I will continuously just tell Ellery summaries of what I hear. Didn't want to let you know it was supposed to be an assassination.
Well, it worked out well enough. but it could have gone poorly if I hadn't figured out that the girl was just the packaging.
Well, you figured it out. You're talented. It seems, well, maybe I'm making an assumption that something's on your mind. Are you looking for work?
Well, more just wanted to catch up and see how things were going. I haven't seen you around the sale yet since I got back.
As I said, I've kept busy. It's kept me away. I'll be sure to send a message to Mark there for old time's sake.
Things are a bit hectic over there. Short-staffed at the moment. One of our bartenders seems to have turned up missing.
Oh, how terrible. I apologize for that. I will keep my ear out. Felix, you get, though I imagine it was probably unpaid dues.
I will be passing that on, just assume.
Sure.
Yes, I would appreciate it if you hear anything.
I will reach out. Well, if you're not here for work, is there something I could do for you, Ellery? You did well, delivering the package and robbing King Cold, as it were. There's always more gold to make, but...
Unfortunately, I don't know how long I'm going to be in the city. Otherwise, I think I'd be more likely to see if I could do anything for you. But I'm not sure if I can make any commitments at the moment.
Of course, was there anything I could do for you? I can. Please, no, go ahead.
Well, I hear that you've been doing quite well for yourself lately.
Quite well indeed. Felix, you get more than you know.
Ellery, ask him how you could make significant coin in a short amount of time.
I'm wondering, since I don't know how long I'm going to be here, might you have any leads on how I could make a lot of gold in not a lot of time?
Felix, you get, as Ellery, as Voyage is kind of thinking, Felix, you get, well, I would suggest people, but you're probably adverse to that. And he speaks to you, Ellery. Well, there's contraband that needs moving. Contraband of various types. Needs to be smuggled into the right places. The government are being more keen than they used to be.
Well, that's a shame.
Well, Felix, you get, though they're not aware of exactly what it is they're looking for. I'm sure you've heard of lichen crystal. There's one. There are others of similar, similar things the Covenant look down upon.
And when he says this, do I know what he's talking about?
You're not aware. He's kind of being very vague. Felix, you get a fault. Something far more valuable than gold. Something eternal.
See if you can find who they're moving them for. Even if you can just think it for a moment. He might not answer, but I could.
So, who would I talk to if I wanted to get in on this?
Well, you're talking to them right now. I'm going to say, Felix, give me a spellcasting check with your proficiency, just to see if you can catch this brief thought. To see if it kind of if Ellery's words stirred enough through his mind, and if you were able to grasp it.
So that will be not great. 11.
Okay. You get the word prince, and that's it. And then the thought is gone. It is very, very brief. I can get you in touch with, we have someone working for us who's moving some of these things. Muddy Waters he's working in, so that's what we call him. You can find him in the Devil's Yard, if you'd like to meet him, though he sometimes frequents the Las Bodeo. I could have him reach out to you, if you'd like.
I've heard these days it's a little bit more What's the word? Tricky for people of my sort to wander around the Devil's Yard?
Well, rumors government do like to spread them. We are abiding by all government's lawful. The Red Watch keeps the peace just as well as the government did. I have a personal friend of mine who sits as their commander. Felix, when he says that, you get a thought. Princess Vaxis sneaks through. I assure you, especially if you mention my name, I'm sure you would find a very hospitable reception.
Well, that's certainly good to know.
Shall I reach out to Muddy Waters and have him find you? Stop by the copper sale.
Well, where might I find him?
Well, you can find him either at the Last Bordeo or on Ember Isle. He frequents there when he's not working. Felix, you get lazy bum. Otherwise, you can find him at Bloodhounds. It's a small hole-in-the-wall bar in the Devil's Yard.
I'm still not sure of my own timetable, so it might be best if I reach out to him once I have a better idea of how long I'll be here.
Of course, we'll mention my name and that you intend to do some running yourself, and you can enable such jobs. Pays well and fairly easy.
Where would the payment be coming from?
Well, he would pay you himself. Felix, this time you get a name, Allrath. Voyage kind of finishes up, knocks back the last of that coffee and places it back on the table. I do apologize, and it has been lovely to catch up with you, Ellery. I do have other engagements. As he kind of slides his chair back, standing up, straightening his jacket.
Of course, you do seem to be very busy these days. If I could ask one last question?
Yes.
Just if I'm heading into the Devil's Yard, you mentioned the Red Watch. Are there any particular rules that I should keep in mind?
Don't be too vocal about your disagreements with the particulars of the covenants that govern that section, that district. It might draw more unwarranted attention. Felix, you might get arrested. He straightens his coat and begins to walk out the door. I'll be seeing you around, Ellery.
I certainly hope so. It's been nice to catch up with you.
And you as well. Farewell. And he leaves the room, closes the door, and begins to walk away. Felix, you can kind of feel that connection distancing.
As he is walking away, I'm going to very quickly ask Ellery, do I probe deeper for anything? He'll know, but we might get something useful.
I am going to answer back, not yet, but maybe the next time we see him.
Understood. And I'll let the spell fade.
Okay. Voyage leaves, leaving you two in your separate rooms. You're able to reconverge with your friends. Any kind of fading last words as we kind of fade out on tonight? About anything Felix and or Ellery kind of discovered or learned, or what your next steps might be.
To the Devil's Watch, sounds like. Or Devil's Yard.
Yes, this may be a little bit trickier getting in without the rest of you being noticed.
Well,
So they notice us.
we're there to provide service. Perhaps they will be agreeable to us all being there to provide said service. Though I do think that is where Ever will find more information about these disappearances.
Yeah. Look, no offense to all of you, but you are kind of known as a group of goody two-shoes. So it might be best that if I go in with anybody visibly with me, that it just be Felix, since he's not very well known around here.
I can help Amson maintain some level of invisibility on the party.
I could, well, if I'm not invisible or if they see through me, we can use an excuse that we are known as goody two-shoes, didn't want to raise an alarm. Sounds like there's drugs being run, correct?
That's what it seems.
I could, 2 years, people change. I could say as an alchemist and a healer, I'm trying to figure out ways to distill that sort of thing. And I know people wouldn't be too happy about it. Didn't want to see anyone to see me walk in.
I also have a few scrolls of disguise self. I don't think it'll help Vesper, but Amson or Ball could alter themselves. Ball, I don't know how much the spell will make you not still a giant, but it's an option.
I like being a giant.
It's an illusion. Never mind.
I smile at Paul.
So what is y'all's next steps as we fade out here?
I say we go to the Devil's Watch and just get a look around, figure out what we can see if there's any more leads or direction.
Yeah.
We may have to spell ourselves in some way to get us in, but I imagine we need to go there.
Can you guys just scope out the place for Amson, and then Amson dimension doors people inside?
I mean, you're still a 10-foot tall man. I think people will notice you are inside whether you came in through the gate or not.
Yeah, fair enough. Put me in the bag of holding. Can I fit?
We don't have any more of those.
Oh, I'm sure we can find another one, and then just buy like an oxygen mask, and then
you could put me in the bag of holding.
But that doesn't fix my giant problem.
No, it doesn't.
So as you'll take your next steps to exploring the Devil's Yard, seeing what further you can find out about the missing individuals and what Voyage might be up to, heading in that direction, discussing how to do it best, we'll go ahead and fade out this evening and we'll come back next week.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Back to the Story. For notifications when an episode goes live, you can find us on Stitcher, Google Play, Player FM, or TuneIn. Download the app and subscribe or favorite us there. We also have a YouTube channel called Back to the Story, an actual play podcast. If you'd like to contact us, you can tweet us at back2_the_story. If you can't fit it into 280 characters, you can email us at thebonfirefables@gmail.com. And if you'd like further information about the campaign, the player characters, or behind-the-scenes sneak peeks, follow us on either Twitter or our Tumblr website. Lastly, if you'd like to support the show, feel free to buy us a coffee at ko-fi.com/backtothestory.